If you're planning on moving to Spain, looking at the cost of living can be one of the most important things that you can do before you go. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly what we spend as a couple living here in Malaga. That includes rent, groceries, utilities, including phone, internet, electric, water, health insurance, eating out, and some of the little costs that accumulate along the way. At the end, I'll break it all down into a realistic monthly budget. My name is Ian, I make videos about living abroad. My wife Agustina and I have been living in Malaga for just over a year now. For context, we rent a small one-bedroom apartment in the historic center. We don't own a car, we don't pay for a gym membership, and I'll explain why later. We cook most of our own meals at home, and we usually go out once, maybe twice a week. So this isn't the cheapest version, but it's also not the luxury version either. I'm not an accountant, and this is not financial advice. It's just one real example of what life here can cost. Alright, let's start with the biggest expense on the list, and that is rent. We rent a small one-bedroom apartment here in the historic center, about a 20-minute walk from the beach. We pay 950 euros per month. You can absolutely find cheaper places if you live outside of the center or further away from Malaga City. But for us, living centrally was pretty important, but also that this was an apartment that came up in a very competitive market where it was difficult to find anything really anywhere in the city, especially in May, which is really right at the beginning of the summer season. A lot of landlords, especially with short-term rentals, charge more during the summer because that's when the demand is the highest. People want to come here for vacation and they're often willing to pay more. So I feel like we got pretty lucky with this one. Another thing that helped us is that the apartment was fully furnished. We didn't have to spend a bunch of money on setup costs. So housing is probably one of the biggest variables here. I'm going to break down what we spent in 1 week so that we can extrapolate that into a monthly budget. But before we get into that week, I want to talk about some of the other monthly costs that are already semi-fixed. Electricity. Our most recent electricity bill was 85.39 euros. That was before the real summer heat, so I'm expecting that this could be higher as we use the air conditioner more frequently. Our recent water bill comes every 2 months, 20.43 euros. For the internet and phone, we pay 45 euros per month. This includes 2 lines, 1 unlimited plan, and fiber optic high-speed internet. We have a Netflix subscription, 14.99 per month. As far as fitness goes, I don't pay for a gym membership. I go for a run to one of the calisthenics parks and use the public spaces for free. I also use these things, which are resistance bands. It's a good way to be able to travel light. Agustina occasionally goes to Pilates classes, but she's been very busy recently with work, so that could be another cost in the future. Healthcare, and specifically health insurance. When we first arrived, in order to meet the requirements to apply for residency, you have to have 1 year of full coverage private health insurance. So we paid for that in full. That was 1,199 euros for the both of us. Now we're eligible for the public health insurance, which is free, basically paid for with tax euros. So our current fixed monthly total is around 1,120 euros. Now that the fixed costs are out of the way, this last week I tracked all of our spending. This week, Christina and I tried to go to Aldi, but we were blocked by this huge fire that was going on in the Ibis Hotel. I was a little concerned about the direction of the wind because the smoke was blowing over the neighborhood where Aldi is. So instead, we ended up going to the Mas. Mas is one of the grocery stores that I've found to have more reasonable prices while still being close to the center. On this trip, we spent a total of 34 euros, pretty normal grocery shopping for us. Neither of us drank alcohol during the week, so at least Monday through Thursday, the alcohol budget is 0. I occasionally get non-alcoholic beers. On Tuesday, we went to Mercadona, which is a very popular grocery store here. It can be a little bit more expensive than Aldi. We spent 24.03 euros. This was more of a meal-focused stop. I got salmon, chicken breast, picked up some asparagus, potatoes, red pepper, zucchini, mushrooms. This gives you a pretty good sense of what a normal home-cooked dinner can cost. Salmon, potatoes, and asparagus, totaling maybe 12 euros. Another day we had stir-fry with rice, chicken, zucchini, bell pepper, mushrooms, brown rice. That's one of our strategies for keeping costs reasonable here. The food culture is amazing, and eating out can be affordable compared to the US. But if you eat out constantly, your budget is going to be through the roof. Tuesday and Wednesday as well. 2 Lidl trips together. Toilet paper, laundry detergent. We do have a washer, so that would be included in our electric and water bill, but we don't have a dryer. The dryer is the sun. The sun is free, and free is from me, as they say. We also got some salad, kiwis, bananas, and apples. Thursday, Aldi. $21.25. This included shampoo, soap, baking paper, aluminum foil, lemon, toothpaste. A lot of these items last longer than a week. I'm going to treat most toiletries and household items as more of a monthly cost. We did a little Primor trip. Primor is called a perfumeria, a cosmetics store, basically, like face moisturizer and some replacement heads for our electric toothbrushes. That was $11.74 on that day. Some things here can be very reasonably priced. Some things are surprisingly expensive. For example, sunscreens. I often see between 20 and 25 euros per bottle. For me, that feels expensive. On Friday, I just stopped at a little grocery store around the corner. For the weekend, I picked up a 6-pack of local beer. Those are 54 cents each. We also got some tortilla chips. For the week so far, we're at 115 euros and 43 cents. Okay, here we go. Here's the weekend spending. On Saturday, we went for lunch and spent 15.70. That includes caña, which is a small beer, one vermouth, callos con chorizo, and a morcilla sandwich with brie. Then later we went out for drinks and spent around 10 euros that night with a friend. On Sunday, we went to the beach, which is free, and then we went to La Tranca for food and drinks afterwards. That was 33 euros in total for the two of us. Tipping is not expected here in the way it is in the United States, but I usually leave some coins when I can. Across the weekend, I probably left around 5 euros in tips. The weekend added 63 euros and 70 cents. That brings the full week to about 179 euros and 13 cents. Some of this was toiletries and household stuff. So instead of treating this as a clean weekly number, I think it's more useful to break it down into categories and kind of give you a range. A rough monthly budget. Our current core monthly costs are around 1,120 euros. I think you can add a little bit more because I didn't put my Audible subscription in there, and I usually read another book every month in fiction. Right now it's the Red Rising series, and I've been ripping through that. For groceries and food at home, 350 to 450 euros per month. Eating out and drinks comes to about 140 euros per month. Obviously, this can be lower if we're very disciplined, and much higher if we have visitors or go out more often with friends. For transport, because we walk so much, we didn't spend anything on transport this week. I'd put our normal local transport around 0 to 30 euros per month, and 30 euros is a lot. That's a lot of bus rides and trade rides. But maybe we want to take a day trip somewhere outside of the city that month. For miscellaneous and personal care, from 100 to 150 euros per month. So when you put all that together, I'd say our average monthly cost as a couple living in the historic center here in Malaga is probably around 1,700 to 1,900 euros per month. That feels like an honest normal range for us right now. And if you Google what the average cost of a couple living in Malaga, Spain is, it comes up with that as a number, actually 1,700. So it's not the absolute cheapest month, just a pretty normal month. If you're really disciplined, cooking pretty much everything at home, barely going out, no travel, no miscellaneous spending, careful with your air conditioning use, I think we could probably get down to around 1,600 to 1,750. But that would not be the most fun version. More social or more comfortable month, maybe 2,000 to 2,300 euros. You could easily go that direction when family or friends come to visit, we travel, or we eat out more, or some random life expenses hit, like being sick and having to buy medicine, things like that. Between 1,700 and 1,900, we don't feel like we're missing out on anything. We're living a comfortable, healthy lifestyle for the most part at that range. So when people ask how much does it cost to live in Malaga, there are really two questions. One is, what do you spend in a normal month? And I think I've answered that question. The other is, how much do you have to bring with you to actually start a life here and get through the setup period? Those numbers are not the same, and I think that's one of the biggest things that people may underestimate when they're moving here. I made a video on the residency process that I went through and things that I thought that you should know before you come to do your residency process. I'll link that here. Consider subscribing, giving it a like, always helps, and I will see you very soon. All right, peace.